Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gfinity Spring Masters 1, the first tournament to be held this year out of this new location here live in London. But we are about, well, two-thirds of the way through our first best of three of the day, right? We're 2 maps in, and we've got Cobble ahead of us here. Metas, what do you think about this? So far the performance, but also what we can expect on this last map.
It's been craziness. It's been absolute craziness. A lot of people expecting Cloud9 to kind of walk away with this game, I'd say, or at least 2-0 it fairly comfortably. Yep. That's not been the case. Fair enough, Inferno was a lot more comfortable for them. Overall, I would say it's kind of back to business. 7-0 start was great. First map, though, if you missed it, you missed an absolute cracker of a map. Fantastic. And I actually think that Cobblestone could go a very similar way. I can see this going right down to the wire, potentially even over time. It's that close for me.
It feels like it could be that close, right? I mean, you're right. Absolutely, guys. If you want a good match, it was the perfect match to start the day off. Overtime on cash, down to the wire the entire way, and nothing plays like a straight-up god. Pyth does, too. It's the perfect balance. It's exactly how we wanted to start things. But now, going into Cobblestone, this is where it gets kind of fun, right? This gets where it's a little bit interesting because, it's like Orbit. Are they going to be good on this map? I think that's the main question mark right now because we've seen Cloud9, we've seen that they can play the map a little bit. We know that they've been focusing on it for the majors, but have Orbit put in that amount of time into this map right now?
I feel like if Orbit maybe revert back to some of their aim star mentality that I've seen in the past, Cobblestone could actually be quite strong for them. If you're starting to rush out, especially on T side, I mean, I can see them picking up quite a few rounds that way. Okay. The thing is, though, how does Cloud9 react to that? Do they have the set stuff? You'd assume that they do, of course, have that in their locker. So I think it's just going to be, once again, this clash of different kind of play styles, and whoever, basically, it's as redundant as this seems, this is the way it's been so far. The better team has won both maps. It's been that simple. There hasn't been any huge upsets. There haven't been luck rounds or anything like that. The better overall team, I should say, has came through, especially on Inferno. That was just craziness.
See, that's the thing, man. Shaz, he was feeling a little low. Went and get a giant hot dog. They have these giant hot dogs outside. But I agree with you. But it feels like a lot of the time it's been more of a slugging match than anything between these two teams. Better in because you can say better, but then it's like better in which sense, right? And it certainly hasn't been tactical. I think it hasn't been that. It's just been the aims, the straight up aim fights, and then the snap decisions that are made. And Cloud9 have shown that they're capable of kind of running around and taking some risks, and also going for the mind games like we saw originally, right in the pistol, where they went one way, then they went to the other side, then they just back and forth, bouncing all over the place. But at the end of the day, it's like nothing dropping a 30 bomb, right? And so these guys just landing crazy shots.
Yeah, I mean, you put it in a much better way than I was trying to, which was, it hasn't necessarily been like the better teams won, it's just been the better aim, the better tactics at that moment have won. And this is a fresh slate. Both teams can come into this map now. Look, it's 1-1. This is basically, at this point, a best of one. Everything else is off. They don't matter. It's all down on Cobblestone. Let's do it. So I'm very interested to see, first of all, which team steps up to the plate, because there's a lot of pressure. Again, the loser of this is likely going to come out bottom of the group, I'd say.
Yeah.
So this is a massive pressure cooker situation for both teams.
Oh, I think Infused or another team, it's like if Orbit are playing at this level right now, really keeping Cloud9 on their toes, I think Infused could actually surprise some people because apparently VP struggled quite a bit with them last night. It wasn't exactly like the VP stomp that a lot of us were expecting. Or Infused were able to put up a solid fight. They'll be waiting in the lower bracket match. So
I believe it was 16-10 both maps.
Yeah, that was it, 16-10. There were a couple of very close scenarios.
I do, however, wonder how much delays, how much that factored into the end result.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to build momentum when you're waiting around and there's problems here, there, and everywhere. But yeah, I mean, they said themselves, Infused were actually surprisingly very good. So it just goes to show you never quite know in Counter-Strike. Either way, I think we're just about ready to jump live here in the knife round.
This is looking like the knife round. Yes, it is. Although, for some reason, they decided to skimp. Okay, there we go. Full Kevlar. Rogue does not get Kevlar, so hopefully he doesn't get shanked too much. It's going to be brutal. This always feels like so dramatic on Cobble as well, in particular, that line standing at the top of the hill. Come get some. I think this is going to be a big one here. If Orbit are able to pick it up again, pick up the knife round like they did on Inferno, it might get pretty rough here for Cloud9 having to start out on T side of Cobble. Don't think that they're going to have it as dialed in as they do on Inferno, for example.
Now, interestingly enough, I've never actually seen Orbit play this version of Cobblestone. I've seen them play the last one. They're pretty good overall. So I'm very curious to see how they're actually going to perform on this new version.
That over?
Yeah, if they're going to keep going forward with that, because there was quite a few fairly big changes to the map overall.
Absolutely. Well, the map totally like plays completely differently now.
Yeah.
Well, Shroud is going to be able to close it out for Cloud9, so they will get the choice, and I'm sure that they're going to stay CT. But that long hallway, I mean, the elimination of the sniper nest in mid, I mean, a lot of the more random scenarios or rush spots have been altered somewhat. So it really does change up how you hold the B site. It's harder to hold these long lines with the AWP as well because, you know, I think it's a small joke on Valve's part. You know, they're like, oh, you want wooden doors? Great, you can have it on cobble, right? You can have them on cobble. So you have wooden doors on the map that are now cutting up these long lines that used to be held by oppers. So a lot of changes have been made, spawn positions as well. But it looks like right now, Orbit, they're interested in going for a quick B play.
That would definitely seem to be the case. They're going to go down to drop to just find Shazam there, laid in wait. Does get one there, Shroud as well. Huiten comes back and Roku chimes in. It's just pretty much blow for blow, the same way these previous two maps have gone. And it seems that Cloud9 are going to come out ahead. Nothing is very low in hit points. Semphis at full, and Pyth does not have the bomb. This is a precarious position at best for him. He has plenty time to play with, but the problem is, as soon as he walks through towards the bomb itself, he's going to come under heavy duress, heavy fire. He did spot a player, I believe, there, and had a quick pot shot across, but that's all it was at the end. A lot of work to do.
He knows there's a Tech-9 there. He knows he has the time, and look at this. He even manages to snag the bomb. Free plant for Pyth. What a mind game coming out from him. That smoke there to buy more time, and now Cloud9 have to know what's up. Now Cloud9 are rotating through, picking up gear as best they can. Another smoke picked up for nothing. The kit is on Semphis. He's got Kevlar as well, so they have all the gear they need, Cloud9, but Pyth has now had time to set up a position here to catch them out.
And he has the Tech-9. This is the scary, scary thing right now for Cloud9. I'm so surprised they allowed him to pick that bomb up. And he's going to get both of the kills. Pyth exploding again. And gives Team Orbit a huge round there on the pistol.
Yeah, just incredible, man. Pyth just continues to impress, and he goes, what is he doing now?
Yeah, that sure is an SG.
Yeah, but like, you're breaking the rules, man. Only NBK buys that. Like, what's going on here? I love Pyth, though, man. That is just a great play from him. I mean, definitely one of the big talents in Sweden. Hasn't been elected to play on any of the bigger teams, but he's always shown that, you know, he has the potential. Just needs to get more experience under his belt, essentially. That's what the general consensus is. So clearly, man, his aim is dialed in. So far in this best of three, he has done some phenomenal work.
And that, as a whole as well, you know, you could draw the kind of correlation to Team Orbit itself, that one of their downsides is they lack the experience when it comes to LANs playing together. So if they can just get that experience and start moving to work together like a well-oiled machine, they really can pull off these upset performances as they are doing right now. Cloud9 do get a kill back in Semphis with that scout. He's looking for a second one, misses the first shot, lands the second, and Sean Gares mops up. So it's down to a 3-on-2. This is Cloud9's round, surely. Semphis with a beautiful one-click to the face of Maxi. Roke will answer back in the only way he knows how, and that's with frags. 36 seconds. The bomb is down next to Van. And Roku's picked himself up another kill. Can he pull off what Pyth did just before? Has he proved to be an inspirational figure for the Swedes once again, just ducking underneath that scout, really playing with fire? And as of yet, it's been yet to be burnt. Shroud, he's desperately trying to get himself into close enough proximity to land that headshot, but there's really nothing that he can do right now. Rogue's picked up the bomb. He's going to go and plant it on A. Plenty time to play with here. Another 5 seconds before the time would have run out, and now Shroud is pushing. This could be a huge clutch from Rook, and it is! Oh my goodness, this second round in a row, the Swedes have stepped up in a round that really looked like it could be slipping away from them.
Yeah, it's just so close at the end, and I'm surprised that Shroud, I'm surprised that the triple scout actually came that close to working as well. I was not expecting to see that much damage being dealt by Cloud9, but Semphis just playing like a god around that van, just constantly dodging around the corner, trying to close the distance and just get those shots in. Shroud just decided to switch, and that was a timing issue there that really led to him his downfall in that 1v1. Sean looking to rectify things. He's going to pick up his frag max. He's going to find one of his own. Pyth as well. And they're all chiming in here now on the T side, but this is expected. Anti-eco round from them. It should be pretty clean work. Only losing one. This should be the line. You know, they should not lose a single person more here.
Looking on cruise control. Shroud has to back on off, tag down a 23 HP. Just going to be chilling out around doors. And this bomb is about to be planted, and now Shroud has to try and get a move on. He's only got a P250. No real reason to go ahead and save that weapon. He wants to get some picks off if he can. Maybe even exit frags after this bomb is due to explode. There's no hope of him getting onto that site. I mean, as good as Shroud is, a 4-on-1 with a P250 up against 4 AKs, no. I don't think even Nothing could pull this off the way he's been playing.
Oh man, Nothing. Curious to see if he's going to be able to keep up that streak. I mean, 3 maps in a row, top fragging like that, it's hard to do. You do run out of, the adrenaline starts to fade a little bit. You start running out of that focus. So we'll see if Nothing is going to be able to take point here for Cloud9 in the 4th round bye that's about to come up. That's going to be the biggest thing here. Shroud, you could even go so far as to say like he's running away at this point just to make sure that they don't even get an extra $300 off of his death, right? So Shroud going to live. And there isn't enough money to buy an AWP. So Cloud9, they're going to have to go with straight rifles.
Try and dig in deep here, play super defensive on the sites, and they even try a cheeky peek here or there as well. You never quite know with these guys, but it seems to be the former rather than the latter. Shazam will be having a quick peek towards mid. Does get a lot of information there for his troubles, and doesn't get dropped either. Oh, Maxi does get a tag. He's been flashed. Is he going to get pushed there through the smoke? No, not quite just yet. Nothing does open up. And a very near chance there, a near opportunity for Cloud9 to strike. Are Team Orbit going to go ahead and rinse and repeat from that last map where they went down 0-7? They're going to return the favor now onto the NA team. It doesn't look likely. Cloud9 are starting to move into position. They are getting the frags here. 3 have dropped from Team Orbit. Pyth and Jumpy, all that remain. And Cloud9 have just picked off Jumpy. 4-on-1 situation. Pyth does have the bomb, but he's got an AK with armor. He wants to save this. He's got the first frag though, and he's going to start to back on off.
Look to change up that angle, see if he can't find a work around. There is a flank coming in here. He's going to walk right into it though, and Nothing's perfect position for him to pick up that final frag. But this was a lot of hesitation on Orbit's side, I think. After the initial aggression that came out from them, I think the big thing is they just weren't able to pick up a frag early. And so the strat, it seems, was like a go into mid, go through mid, and try and see if you can catch somebody off guard. And once that wasn't accomplished, once they didn't find anybody, they're kind of like, okay, what do we do now, right? And it was the same impression that I got from G2 yesterday, where there's just a little bit of hesitation on the side of the team as to what to do next. And if that comes in, then that's going to be a problem versus the team of, of the likes of Cloud9. They won't let you just get away with, hesitating in these kinds of scenarios. You need to commit to pushing through mid, or you need to just start backing off and finding something else. The slow push was not the way.
And could that be indicative, do you think, of maybe not having a huge amount of experience on Cobblestone and having strats and things set for it?
That's what my worry, right? Because, Orbit, they're playing in the qualifiers and they are trying to play in the online leagues, etc. So they are going to work Cobblestone. But, for the last few weeks, Cloud9 just came out of a boot camp where Cobble was probably one of the main focuses of that boot camp, right? So they're going to be up to date and dialed in on this map. Just going to be a question of whether Team Orbit can pick up a couple more rounds, because at least they picked up the pistol. They have that much going for them.
Looking to push on towards the B site now. You can see there that Nothing has been absolutely obliterated, trying his best to stay in contention to get himself a few frags when they drop down. He's in a good position to do so if they don't have a quick peek there, and that's exactly what he's going to do. The rest of his team, or in the form of Shroud mainly, do come to his aid, and Nothing could potentially close this one off. I thought he was a goner for sure. Roku with a beautiful double kill though. He's going to make that round sting a tiny bit for Cloud9, but still, job done for them. Nicely done by Shroud.
And speaking of G2, right? That's what we saw yesterday, G2 versus NIP. That same exact scenario where they push out and then they get caught on plateau, T-side team, right? Where it's G2 trying to push through on the defense with Forrest just locking him down on long. We just saw that. Nothing playing the same position that Forrest plays. Actually, get right, from the site. These sorts of situations, there was a lot of overlap there. But Orbit just getting slowed down.
Samfis is going to get himself 2, and he's looking for more. 3rd is at it as well, and Huiton is surely going to be the 4th player to get dropped. There we go. And Nothing will steal away the ace, as it's gone back to a 3-on-3.
It has. Okay, then the crowd is hyped. You know why? Shazam's got an AWP.
Because it's the 3rd map here of the first day. You couldn't ask for a much better game than this to start things off.
Oh, Shazam disappoints the crowd. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and the counter boost actually coming through there. Jumpy not going to manage that. Or that's Shroud, rather. Jumpy getting a little ahead of himself. Good hold there by Sean. He gets the second one as well. Lands that shot. And that is perfect. That has actually been a little bit of an overextension from Team Orbit, and it certainly did not pay off.
Certainly didn't. And this is the kind of moment that we were talking about before, where their initial attack gets countered and then they don't really know what to do next, and they're caught in two minds. And again, they've got two players left. It seems like they're going to try and both push towards the B side, but the problem is that nothing is there. And I was going to say they're going to line up for him, but actually Maxi somehow will silence him and get the second kill, so hold the phone. I thought this was a clear-cut round for Cloud9, but if anything has been taught to me of these last two maps is never trust what's in front of your eyes in this game. Anything can happen. Maxi gets yet another one, and now it's all on Semphis, and he only has 22 HP to play with.
Incredibly difficult situation. Maxi with the quad kill. And all of this, I mean, nothing dying in that scenario I could be all right with, because Sean Gares is going for the gamble. He's saying, okay, they're going to think, because this is Nothing's position that I'm standing in, now that they've killed Nothing, they may for a split second think this area is clear, and they'll just go jumping over me to go straight to that bomb site. It just so happens that the spacing, how it worked out, the first player jumped in front of Sean, but Maxi jumped behind him, and easy kill for Maxi. And at that point, it's such a difficult situation for Cloud9 to come back from. So very clean round there from Orbit, just a little bit of a wink, a little bit of a nod, and they get the job done. 4 rounds on the board for them now, and that's going to put Cloud9 in a bit of an awkward position, because now Cloud9 have had to really tap into that bank that they've been developing throughout these past 3 rounds.
There is Maxi is the only player to drop so far. Huiten is very low as well, and again, this is where Team Orbit have seemingly struggled. They are ahead though in terms of rounds, 4-3 to the good. This is looking like it could be a 4-4 scoreline, especially as Jumpy just gets headshotted through there from Sean Gares. Fair as well, Cloud9, apart from that last round, which is kind of the spanner in the works, have done a pretty good job. When they've got a couple kills, they have generally locked things down, as Shazam misses that shot into mid. Could prove to be pretty detrimental for his team, but not if Semphis has something to say about it. Gets himself a quick fire double kill and gets the triple. No, he doesn't actually. The flashbang potentially saves Rogue's life, and he will now back on off and get shot in the backside from Sean Gares. 4-4 is the scoreline.
For some reason, I had the feeling that he just, tapped out, let's go, LET with the Tech-9. But okay, maybe it was just luck. Maybe I'm imagining things. Orbit right now, they're on the line. They're going to keep trying to pressure. I like this as well, just because they can't afford to go for it. The all-out YOLO push looks like they want to try and head over towards B. This is great. Go on too long. Don't waste any time. Make it look like you're going to go jump, but then just try and get in Nothing space fast. And let's see now if the defense is going to hold for Cloud9.
That's the question. That's going to be definitely poised against them, and so far so good for them. Nothing and Shroud have both got themselves a kill. There's Nothing again, gets himself another one. Looking good right now for Cloud9, and they get the clean sweep. So they managed to repel that fast push onto B and lose no players in the process, which is only money in the bank as far as they're concerned.
And that's one thing, actually. I think Cloud9 are a team that play well off of knowing the situation, right? And so they would feel like, okay, we've got Molotovs, we got smokes, we got flashes, we got everything we need. This round is going to work just like it does in practice. And that's when you have the players like Nothing, etc., who really shine. They're just going to be able to lock down that site because everything is going according to plan. Orbit went for a rush, they ran into the anti-rush play, and there you go. That's just a very clean counter by C9.
I'm a bit surprised there with a few players dropping down into the drop zone. They weren't able to actually get the frag onto, I think it was Sean Gares that was pulling himself back there. Yeah, now he's occupied the same position that he killed Jumpy in that last round. Throws the flash in, Molotov as well. And they're actually boosting just to get the hell out of there. It's a very claustrophobic environment for Team Orbit, and they have managed to successfully get themselves out of dodge for now. They have sustained quite a bit of damage themselves though, and now moving towards A.
It's got to be pretty sad for Huiten, actually. It's like, you are going to be, we're abandoning you.
Forever alone.
Leave no man behind? Yeah, right. Oh, and he's drawing attention over here, and this is going to potentially keep these players in line. Sean Gares now holding close to connector, but they do get spotted out, and then it's just the slaughter.
The meat grinder, definitely in effect. And Semphis, I believe he was 12-6 the last time I saw, so he's definitely starting to pick things up. There we go, 15-6 now. Nothing on 7. I'm quite curious if he's going to drop 100 frags in this best of 3. Because he got 38 in the first one, right? And then he got 30 in the second game.
Came close. I mean, it's possible.
Doable, yeah.
It's possible. The thing is that he needs to get more rushes towards long right now. Like, they aren't coming, they aren't really giving him too many opportunities, right? So we need to see more of that there. The perfect nade. No, not really doing the damage. Stemvis can't quite line them up, so Huiten is going to be able to trade there pretty effectively. And now into a 4-on-4 situation, and they are on the hunt right now. They are looking for Shazam, who is now pinned down. He's got that AWP, but he has to watch his back.
And he's just going to turn around at the right time as Pyth is going to even the odds there in that exchange, but Shazam has given his team the player advantage. It was looking pretty bad for Cloud9 at one point, but fairness to them, they've bounced back in the best possible way, and that really just has been this entire best of 3 in a nutshell. Both teams backwards and forwards like a seesaw of Counter-Strike action. 55 seconds just about on the board. Lots of time to play with. Cloud9 trying to dig in deep here. Got a pretty split approach. In fact, look at this. Nothing going very aggressive here on the defense side. Trying to get all the information, calling that to his team. And this is allowing Sean Guest to actually stay on B because he realizes, look, there's no way they're pushing A. They must be around halls. This is such good play for nothing.
Just so much info, you're right. And then on top of that, if one of these guys gets caught out, he's going to be able to just come in so quickly behind them. I mean, look at this position right now. This is flawless. He spots one, gets a bit ahead of himself, actually. He could have scoped out the more, but he's still going to be able to pick up those 2 kills. Very clean work there by Nothing with the backstab.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. That information's so important. And now Team Orbit have a bit of an uphill struggle. What kind of round amount would you be happy with right now if you Team Orbit on T side?
On T side, I would say if they can get one more, 10-5. Like, if they can get up to 5 rounds, I think that they would be fairly comfortable. 11-4 would still be kind of pushing it. I think that Cloud9 could feel a bit more comfortable with 11-4. But if they get up to 10-5, I think Orbit will be perfectly fine. So right now, that is what this is all about at this point. Stemvis with a very nice double spray down. He does not get overwhelmed this time. They were just wrapping around. Pyth running, going with that Tech 9. And look at that, it's AD glory. I mean, oh, and then the AWP shot from Pyth as well. It's insult to injury.
Nearly gets the second time of asking, but already this is not terrible from Team Orbit considering. And there's still a minute on the time, so Pyth could potentially pull this one off. He's only got 9 HP, and he's caught them on the side. Nothing. Looking in the same position as Shroud, that was a bit interesting, to be fair. I'd have expected them to kind of, watch opposite directions and try and lock A down. And that's given Pyth a one-on-one. And he's already clutched so many rounds today, you cannot write this guy off. 5 seconds now. Needs to pick that bomb up desperately. And he's got Shroud up against him on 100 HP. Has himself a defuse kit and a smoke grenade. Pyth really checking every nook, every cranny to try and find that Shroud. He must guess, though, that Shroud is on A. This is kind of the best position to actively cover multiple areas at once, and Pyth has called it. He said, yep, probably on A. I'm going to try and do the old bait and switch here, but he's only got 14 seconds to play with. This is cutting it really fine. And now Shroud knows he's going to be chasing. He will just about get the plant down, will Pyth, but he's left himself in a precarious position. He has the AWP. Can he get the flick shot? Yes, he can! And Pyth gets another clutch. I said Jumpy was the clutch king. I'm not so sure. Pyth might be taking that crown.
I think he's challenging the title, man. That is just another one. You don't even want, you just want to stay still, not move, not do anything that could mess with that perfect situation of a 1v1 playing out. I thought he cut it way too close there as well.
Yeah.
Towards the end, I'm like hesitating with the smoke. Just throw it and run. But he played it just perfectly there, Pyth. Great shots with the AWP as well. So, man, what a round. And there you go. We're talking about how many rounds they need. I mean, up to 5 rounds on an eco round, no less. That's going to deal a big blow to Cloud9's economy as well. They're going to have to spend a lot of money to re-up after that. It's real problematic. And Shazam misses that shot on a Maxi.
Big shot as well. That is taking down your counterpart's AWP. That's a pretty crucial kill, and he pays for that one. In fact, it's actually Semphis that pays for that mistake. And these are the kills that really pile up, especially in the third map. When things get tense, those are the kills that can make or break a round for your team.
Certainly. And Semphis is also a player who might express some discomfort as well at that turn of events, to put things lightly, right? So Shazam, one thing he does right, though, is he does get the revenge frag. And that's what needed to happen there in that scenario. We're back into a 4-on-4, but before I can finish that sentence, Nothing and Shroud each pick up a frag and bring it into a 4-on-2. Bomb is making its way towards the site eventually, but Shazam holding the angle on drop room, not going to let Jumpy out of there, and it's down to Pyth once again. 1v3, and this is his time to shine, but not this time, says Shazam. Not this time. Triple kill for him in the round, and Cloud9 stabilize.
They do stabilize. But Team Orbit, they're still going to be pretty happy with this position. If they can pick up one of these next couple rounds, they'll be very, very happy indeed. It's not going to be this one, though. Well, I say that. You never quite know with Tech-9s. It's likely not going to be this round. They've got Tech-9s, they've got the P250. They will be able to buy up next round, whatever happens here. They obviously want that plant as well. Molotov actually early thrown through drop there. Will stop the push just for now.
And actually did some damage to Rogue as well, I'm surprised.
Wow, this molly spam is real right now. 2 in halls.
This is Cloud9 for you, though. They're all about the Molotovs. If they can afford the Molotovs, they're buying Molotovs, they're using Molotovs. This is how they practice. And so that's also a weakness that they can have, because if they don't have the Molotovs to rely on, it can get a little tricky for them. You know, they're out of their comfort zone.
But a snowstorm descends upon nothing with those flashbangs, but it doesn't matter. He manages to keep himself alive with that P2000 clicking to his heart's content and does get the final frag. Nice round from Cloud9 and nothing. And now Team Orbit will be buying up, and they'll be looking to take the 9-6 scoreline.
Really impressed with nothing as well. Just a few rounds ago, we were looking at it. It's like he's at 7-8 kills, and he doubles that now in the space of a couple rounds. Like, okay, up to 14. He's interested in trying to crack that number, but he's going to have a terrific remaining, run throughout the second half if he's to do it. We'll see. A decent enough buy here from Team Orbit, actually. Fresh smoke down, look toward connector, and that was a very close call. Jumpy nearly picked that up.
Oh, look at this. Very aggressive play from Shazam when he gets punished there. Oh, Semphis gets the upper hand on Maxi as he actually turns around at the worst possible moment from his perspective. A 1-for-1 trade. This will likely be happier news for the T's, but that doesn't matter as nothing again. He's hungry for those 100 frags that we were talking about before. He's got him 15th of this map. And Team Orbit, again, this kind of stalled, stilted approach comes back. They're trying to rotate towards B. Again, Huyton is going to be that interference, the decoy, and try and keep a couple of those North American players locked down on A site. But it doesn't look like they're buying it right now.
No, in fact, this has been a pretty solid rotation now. It's just Semphis holding that line into apartments. At this point, they should be even thinking about just rotating off. 30 seconds left. Not a sound has been made on this A site from the 2 remaining members from Team Orbit. This is just going to be them committing to the push, committing to that angle, and Shroud keeps his cool and controls his spray, does exactly what he needs to do in that scenario.
Cool, calm, collected, 10-5 at halftime. And Team Orbit, I'd say they'd be happy, but then again, they were, what, 4-0 up at one stage?
They were
maybe hoping for more.
No, I think they were up 3-0, and then
3-0, then 3-1.
And then 4.
Right, got you.
It was like all over the place. It's crazy, man. It's wild.
That's pretty much just been the, you could put that as a tagline to this best of 3.
Wild.
Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Pyth, I'd say he's been the standout player for me. I think it's fair to say on Team Orbit.
I mean, him, Jumpy, I mean, it seems like everybody's had their times to shine. I mean, Maxi has been doing very good work with that AWP, but Pyth, the key rounds, he just does it, but he does it in such like a wow fashion, like just such an explosive fashion, just these decisive headshots, like one click, bam, dead, one click, bam, dead, and then it's just like 1v2, 1v3, whatever, I'll take on the world, I don't care. Like, Pyth has really impressed me so far with this play in this best of 3. I hope to see more of this throughout the tournament, or throughout the group phase.
I mean, Roken and Huyton have done their job as well, but let's cut back to the action as drop down seems to be the place of choice for Cloud9 as well in this pistol round as bullets missing all over the place. Grenade was thrown in, very nearly ends Semphis' life. Escapes with 7 HP. That could be enough to actually tip the scales in Cloud9's favor. Rogue will, however, even it up. Shazam takes out a quality, flushes it down the toilet, and that will be the T's now pushing onto A. They will get this plant as well. And Orbit have it all to do here, especially as nothing gets the beautiful headshot across to Pyth. Jumpy is a great clutcher, but this may be a bit too much to ask from him. Nearly gets the second kill there, but look at Semphis' position. He's ready to pounce, and there we go. Easy from Cloud9, 11-5.
Yeah, very clear. I mean, that's like Semphis is the man that makes the round there practically because he's sitting in that drop-down room and he hears the rotations coming in through B, from B through to connector, through to A. He just knows where that last man is at all times. So he's the guarantee. Even if they lose a couple players on the A site, even if they were to lose both players on the A site, the fact that Semphis is there walking in from behind on connector is just, that's the guarantee, the ace in the hole for Cloud9 in that round. So there we have it. Cloud9, it's the perfect start for the second half. They get that 10-5 finish, and then they pick up the pistol as well. So they are now 5 rounds away from moving on to the winner match in this group.
It's a triple scout buy-up, though, from Orbit. High risk, high reward from them, and so far it's paying out pretty decently. They need to get another frag, though, and try and tip the scales back in their favor, and nothing is saying a resounding no to that statement. Now it's all on Huiten with the scout pushing in from drop down.
Similar strategy. This is what Cloud9 did in their second round as well,
Yeah.
the triple scout buy. That's decisive. Okay, nothing.
That's pretty much just a foot being stamped down. I was going to say that Huiten I feel it's difficult for him to shine as like a carry player because he typically plays a lot of flanking roles.
Yeah, he's
always
exactly
playing interference, and it's difficult to make a huge impact unless you get like 2 or 3 frags by yourself. And Roke is a very good defensive player. I've noticed this on Cash in particular. His defense on A was absolutely sublime. He consistently locked down sites. As you said, everyone's pulled their weight. Huiten, aforementioned flanker, has got himself on the scoreboard of this round, but Shroud is going to answer back in the only way that Cloud9 want him to, and that's with the fragment zone. There's Memphis opening things up. Maxi, though, is going to take it back into a 3v3. The bomb's been planted, and Sean Gares and nothing. I'm going to bring it to all on Huiten. He's coming in with a 5-7. He's got 100% remaining, but this is going to be so difficult for him to pull off. He's going to be chilling out in drop down. He must know that nothing is very close by lurking, and they're going to come head to head. He does get that kill, and he will keep the AK-47 as well. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to re-peek and get killed by Sean Gares.
Yeah, he couldn't make it past there, I guess, or you just wanted to do more damage.
Yeah.
But good kill there onto nothing, at least. I mean, that forces Cloud9 past the drop point into somebody actually having to really spend a lot of their money. I mean, Shazam is going to go up to that AWP. He was sure of that as well because he had been holding back, not buying rifles, just sticking with the Kevlar, getting a couple nades, and upgrading a pistol, right? So him dying, they can kind of throw Shazam into those situations and use him as bait just to get information, right, as to the setup of Team Orbit. Because they know he's going to have the money to buy the AWP here. Great early flashes, though, to force Maxi back. And that is Cloud9 starting to get a little bit of map control here.
I really feel like the experience is starting to shine through as well from Cloud9.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. You know, like, it has been such a close series through and through. I mean, Cloud9, they're 3 rounds away. But those 3 rounds, T-side overpass, or not overpass, cobblestone, my mistake, can be just, you know, hell on earth. So we'll see if they can actually clutch it right now. Because if they can win this one round, they pretty much win the map.
How important this round is right now. And Team Orbit, after that first map victory, will be so desperate to cling on, tooth and nail, to keep this dream alive. The Swedes on CT, digging themselves in deep, digging themselves into their foxholes, trying to keep this blitzkrieg at bay. It seems like Cloud9 are just on the point, just on that precipice of pushing in super aggressively. Here we go. Gonna start to move out of halls. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 trade. That man, once again, Shazam with the AWP, rings out, nothing comes in, gets himself the AK-47 frag, and a second one as well. And Maxi is really in no man's land with that AWP. This is going to be a super difficult round for him to clutch. He's got to get a pick very quickly. And as you said, this is a round that could make or break the entire best of 3.
If Maxi shows himself on that bomb site, I'm going to go and unplug his mouse. Like, this is the right play for him to be doing right now. Hold on to that AWP. He's actually going into, like, the biggest troll position ever. This is great. T-side sniper. Get in that tower, bro. I'm sure a lot of people are having some flashback horror story memories. Like, you know, it's just like they're going to start trembling a little bit. Whoa, they actually peek it. Oh, no, he gives it up. I think they're too far away to punish him, though.
Shaking his head in embarrassment.
He had that shot, but you saw the peak. You saw the peak. They knew where he was. That was perfect. Okay. But now this is it. You know, it's basically what do they have, Team Orbit? They have a FAMAS that Maxi's going to be able to drop, but the rest of them are going to be just squeaking by with 5-7 in armor.
Yeah, 5-7 armor.
Wait. Where did they get all this money all of a sudden?
Another FAMAS.
2. I saw
Loss
3150. How the hell did that happen? Okay. Oh, because they're skimping on the Kevlar helmet. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. Just about scraping by with this weaponry coming in. Here we go, pushing through halls right now. Molotov precedes them, nothing. Again, getting all the entries in the world. Memphis comes up huge. And Team Orbit, they're going to be staring 10 match points if they can't claw back this 3v4 situation. Bomb's been planted. Jumpy is going to be living up to his name, trying to get through that smoke, but Shazam and Sean Gares come in and nothing gets the final one. And Team Orbit also forced that buy, so their economy is good enough to buy some weapons, but nowhere near fantastic.
Yeah, having lost so many rounds in a row, essentially, they're going off of that at this point. FAMAS is just barely managing to squeak by, decent enough actually to have some rifles, but very limited nades. In Cloud9, they have everything they need. They have the Molotovs, as I was saying. They even go so far as to have that double AWP. So things are about to get nasty here. Are they going to be able to find a pick early? And yes, they will. Sean Garris is going to catch Maxi lurking in that corner in the halls. That new hallway, or I can't even say new anymore, but the hallway linking, halls from A to B. On the T side, Xemphis now taking a peek towards this bomb site, and he gets the second frag, takes out Pyth.
It's just not looking too good right now. Team Orbit maybe starting to circle the drain, trying desperately to pull this one back. They've got plenty of time, but they're just lacking in manpower. Jumpy is completely outmanned and outgunned on this situation, and he does fall. Cloud9 take Cobblestone very comfortably in the end, 16-5 and 2-1 overall.
Look at the reaction from Cloud9. I mean, they're not out of the groups. That's already, they're in that winner match now, but they know that could have been a much cleaner series, I think. So that's something that they're going to have to keep in mind. They have to keep their cool and immediately go to break, get some food in them, and just talk over what exactly happened at the beginning of this series, because that was definitely way too bumpy, considering this is such a high caliber team.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like more relief to me than happiness, just because of how incredibly close that game was at some points. But as you say, they got the all-important W. That's all that counts really at the end of the day, and they progressed through to the next match in a much better position they could have been.
And they will be going on to face off against VP if the brackets play out correctly. This is Group B. This is the group match that got delayed from last night actually, to push back until 10 o'clock this morning to catch up on the schedule. So they will be going on to the winner match versus Virtus Pro. That means that Orbit will be playing against Team Infused. And that is actually, I think that's going to be just as good as what we just saw here between these two teams. I think that's going to be a very even match because Team Infused, they nearly caught VP off guard. They didn't take the wins, but they certainly got more than enough rounds on the board for VP to feel like they were a threat.
I mean, they got 20 rounds off them over 2 maps, and that's not too shabby at all. I mean, some of the top tier teams wouldn't maybe pull that off right now. So
exactly. Well, it's not what you expect to see from VP. You expect to see them just roll.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not a top 5 team that they're facing, they should be the team to make it through, right?
I think a lot of people were expecting kind of 16-1, 16-2 scorelines when Infused met VP. So you never quite know. Again, it's that kind of unknown factor. I think it's very difficult to scout Infused if you're one of these top tier teams because they don't play a huge amount. And I mean, I've cast a lot of the UK scene, and they often have stand-ins. They often maybe even have roster changes here, there, and everywhere. So they're such a difficult team to know what they bring to the table.
No, that's the element of surprise, right?
Yeah.
And they also use a sixth man as a caller. So it's a bit of a blade style from Hellraisers from DreamHack Winter when Blade was basically moving his team around like pawns. Infused do the same thing. They have a 6-man behind them calling the shots and giving them input round after round. So that might be something that VP might have to deal with, or they did deal with that, but now it's going to be something that Orbit have to keep in mind. But let's go ahead now and hear what the analysts have to say. Scoot, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Wow. That was some good Counter-Strike. That was close.
Eventful.
I was very nervous about Cloud9 on that one, and they pulled it off.
Well, that's kind of the way the pre-game analysis was. Like, they were primed for the potential upset, but we also saw, like, when you're a real team and you've got international experience and proper players, you're supposed to win a game like Cobblestone. That's not a map for mixed teams or players with stand-ins, etc. The first map was very exciting, though. The fact that Cloud9 even came close to that was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, OT, gotta love that. So we've got a couple replays we're going to kind of show you guys and kind of walk through. So we're just going to kind of walk through these replays and highlights like one at a time. So we're going to start with map 1. Obviously, again, as we talked about during the pregame, and what we always talk about with this team is Jordan, nothing, Gilbert has to play. Has to be that guy.
This map especially. Remember, Cloud9 lost this map. They lost it in overtime, but the only reason they were even in this map is because Nothing went crazy and had like 50 kills over the whole map. Like in the first half, I think they only lost something ridiculous, like 7-8 or 6-9, and yet there's one point in the game, I remember looking at the scoreboard, he had like 14 or 15 kills. The next guy had like 4. And they were getting totally dominated, but he was winning 1v4s, 1v3s. The fact that they could have won this series 2-0 was just like all on his back. I think for the overall series, he was something like almost 100 kills for the whole series.
Yeah, I mean, that's as good as I've seen Nothing play in CS. And what was interesting, I think, was his reaction. I mean, he was furious that they lost that first map, that he'd had that performance. And, we saw him when he was out there. He was pumped. I mean, he was really angry, and who can blame him? Like you say, he tried to put the team on his back, and when it didn't come off. But this is again why the best of 3 series is so important, because Cloud9. If this was best of 1, Cloud9 are already
they're
struggling.
Gone.
They're gone. Yeah.
No, that's a great example of why best of 3 is valuable, because Cloud9 would be out, and yet if you're nothing, you'd feel like I did everything right, and that's it. But you give them a full series, and after that, it wasn't particularly close, actually.
Yep.
Inferno was very convincing for Cloud9, and then they were just always cruising. They were always in control of the cobblestone, and so you saw the value of having the 3 maps if you can. And obviously later on, we're going to see some great games because of best of 3.
I almost feel as well what was important about the world with just watching these replays.
Puts it into overtime on this one.
Was it was almost as if usually. Sometimes I've seen teams like when one guy performs and everyone doesn't, and he gets angry about it. That could be actually quite a negative thing. What happened here was the rest of Cloud9 seemed to feed off Jordan's performance. Guys that you wouldn't expect a 30 frag performance from, like Semfis, showing up on Cobble.
Yeah.
And Duncan I think's been critical of him in the past, and perhaps rightly so. But yeah, Jordan definitely seemed to be, the guy who turned up this morning and set the tone and said, guys, are we here to play some Counter-Strike, or are we going to go out in the groups again? And, like Duncan rightly points out, the next 2 maps are very convincing, but it all seems that the catalyst was that there, like Jordan kind of just saying, this is the level we all need to be at, and people
the thing
raise their game.
When you say that, that's a key point for Cloud9. Now that Titan dropped out, now that Orbit's here and they're not favoured to get out, if Cloud9 went out in the groups again this time, that would be so brutal. And also, because of the double elimination format of the group, you've got a pretty decent chance you could be seeing this game again in the last match of the group. Could be a rematch between the 2. So which maps will they pick? Will Orbit steer away from Cobblestone, make sure that's not in? Will Cloud9 still dare to play them on cash? You might get to see this match again as the final match, assuming Cloud9 don't beat out who's in their group. Virtus Pro. As long as they can't beat Virtus Pro, then it'll be a rematch. Or maybe we get to see Orbit against Virtus Pro. We'll see.
I mean, for me, like Cloud9, if they are going to have a good showing at a tournament, this is going to be the one where they do it, because
this is the crazy. I'm going to interrupt you. This is the win it Pyth 1v3. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're talking a lot about Cloud9 right now. We definitely need to mention Orbit and Pyth in particular, who I thought, what a game he's had, and there was a lot of people, putting pressure on him. I mean, just look at this, insane 1-bullet shots, and then just to get into a 1v1 situation and get the bomb down is incredible. You think, well, even if he loses this, it's still been a pretty sick play. Holds his nerve, and you can see from where he's looking, he's got no clue where the last man is. Absolutely no.
Tucks in. This is perfect.
Yeah. Then just uses the sound and dink 1 bullet. I mean, incredible play from him. But there's a lot of question marks about him. I think people were saying, is he going to turn up at this LAN event? How's he going to perform? And he was a standout player for Orbit in a lot of ways. I thought he was.
Yeah.
Really
definitely.
good.
This is a team to definitely look out for. There's no doubt about it. They stay together. They start traveling more. Get on the circuits, if you will. Like.
One impressed me as well is, we talked about how Jumpy was coming in from 1.6 and that he was going to be like the in-game leader. Jordan with it. Yeah, mad spray down with all those headshots. But, Jumpy actually seemed to be calling like pretty good tactics, for Orbit. They didn't seem out of it tactically, Sure, they lacked that bit of experience, that little bit of polish, certainly on Cobblestone. I'm pretty sure they've probably dedicated no time to that map. But, on Cash and Inferno, you could see they already had a very good idea about what they needed to be doing, and it was only that experience that really got Cloud9 sort of through it.
A great round by Maxi on this one.
Yeah, but just I mean, a real good game, and like there's good signs there for all. But if they do play Cloud9 again, and that's what I was just going to say just before we went to it. If Cloud9 are going to get through a group and have a good showing at a tournament, they couldn't have asked for a better group. Titan drop out, Team Orbit come in at short notice. You've got Infuse, the UK whipping boys. They're here for a day out. Let's be honest about it. And then you got Virtus Pro with a stand-in. If Cloud9 cannot step up in this group and get out of this group, there's even an argument to say that because of Virtus Pro having a stand-in, that Cloud9 should be thinking about.
If you're really good, there should be a chance. Especially because when it's best of 3, you can always make the excuse like, oh, it was the wrong map, we started the wrong side. In best of 3, that's not a case. That's the best of 1 excuses there.
Yeah.
So if you don't make it out against a weaker team, and even the team that was the favoured one in your group, they're a little bit weakened because they've got the stand-in. That's when you're supposed to make it out. Is when you've got all those things in
as
place.
we talked about, Stemfist came up big in Cobble, and I think you made a very valid point, Duncan, that like Team Orbit is not in the realm of playing a lot of cobblestone right now. So that definitely leans to all of these teams like a Virtus Pro or Cloud9 that are forced to it, all these major circuits, etc. It's a map that's in the pool, right? So they're definitely well versed in it. If this third map ends up being anything else, totally different.
Absolutely, it was an ace in the hole for Cloud9 here, because you can only, when you're a new team, you only want to get a handle on the basics. Your Infernos, your Just Twos. This is what you want to have down pat because they're the ones that are likely to come up. Cash as well is obviously a big deal, but I felt if that had been any of the map, like a Mirage for example or something, that could have been ridiculous. That could have been, insane.
Orbit have played some cobblestone, but the key thing as well is they don't have lands that they played together. They've only played the odd few time, or the core that they had before played some lands, but that's another aspect of it. It's very different to play a map that you've only played online. You've never got to play it offline properly. Because then, what really is your go-to position that you hold on this spot when it's not working for you, When you're online, it's a lot freer, in that particular sense.
Couple more replays here.
Yeah, this is Pyth again. Low HP with the AWP.
And, obviously this means that Infused and Orbit are going to play. One's going home, and Cloud9's going to take on Virtus Pro, and they always bring good matches with each other. I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on this performance alone, you can see Orbit. They're not here to make up the numbers. These are good players, and Infused. As much as I would love to root for the home team, and I know all of those players, I've got nothing but respect for them. Orbit are a cut above, and then Infused are going to find it very hard. I think Orbit are already, got the flip flops on. Use the football phrase. They know they're home.
The team that showed up in this game, if this Orbit shows up, they will be Infused. It should be a done deal.
Yeah, no debate about it. But yeah, this was an epic encounter. This Shroud and Pyth. Well, Pyth was in a low HP situation against Rifles with an AWP. He already flanked him, made a pick there on nothing. And this was again, it showed that he had that game sense, that awareness, and he was, like I say, had a real solid performance for me. Definitely, and this is a real tense situation, potential game-changing situation. Gets that round there right to take them to 5. So, I thought Pyth was great for them, and again, it just shows that even in the mixed teams, they've got players that are international caliber that can make that step up, and if they do, they're going to be able to rattle the cage of teams like Cloud9 and even higher, further up the pecking order.
Update on the other matches that are going on. Obviously, our next big match, and we're going to talk about it in depth after our commercial break, is obviously this possible final in its own right of any tournament.
Might even be the final of this tournament.
Nev and Envious. But I just got word. Property is up 12-7, and they're playing Gamers 2. And again, that's a lower bracket match, so loser's going to go home. I think that's the first map. I'm pretty sure. So, any final thoughts on the Cloud9 Orbit match?
Overall, I actually was it's funny that they almost totally blew the first map, because overall I was a little bit impressed by Cloud9, actually. They looked pretty solid. Like, they actually had it together. In general, aside from nothing having almost 100 kills, otherwise it wasn't like one person really letting the team down and that's the guy that's going to lose the series. They looked pretty well-rounded. I'm very interested, because of the stand-in situation, to see them against Virtus Pro, because like you say, those two teams always matched up well. That was a good matchup war, and that was with the real rosters. So, hey, they can win a map of Virtus Pro. That's not impossible. So, Cloud9 looking pretty decent so far. Orbit primed for the upset. They did what they could. So that's why I like the double elim thing. I want to see if they match again, what can happen next time, because then we'll really see if Orbit was just a one-off on that map or whether they can actually win a series.
And again, folks, you can see our standings. You probably can't read them here, but they're going to put them on the big screen for you. But basically, as we've talked about, Virtus Pro is taking on Cloud9 here, Group B standings. Infused takes on Orbit. And then obviously winner-loser play to go back up, and that's it.
The final game, yeah.
The final game. So more good Counter-Strike. Again, 2 streams going as well. Gfinity TV and Gfinity TV2 on Twitch and simulcast on MLG as well. So all this action is happening. Let's quickly talk about the matches we weren't watching. But obviously Envious, 2-0'd, Property. Yep. And 16-11, first map 16-0. Shut out the second map.
You've got to say that is hugely impressive, because Property are no joke. I know they're a mixed team. They got a very solid roster, and we didn't know what kind of Envious we were going to get. We highlighted that game at the start of the show, and I think we were all in agreement that was a potential banana skin. Yeah. And Envious haven't just got past the first hurdle. They've cleared it with some distance. Interestingly enough, they're in the player lounge now. Most of them asleep. I don't know if that's just because they were tired, they didn't get a lot of sleep last night, or to conserve
They
some
are
energy.
tired.
Yeah, but it was hugely impressive performance, and that's exactly the kind of thing they want to be doing. It's a statement of intent. They're in a very tough group.
Yeah.
And I think when we looked at property, we were like, wow, that's a cat among the pigeons. How's that going to go? Great play by Envious, and coming up against Nip, fresh from a final in Poland. I think that's going to be a great game. I mean, that's got the potential to be one of the series, of the tournament. And as Duncan rightly points out, that could be the final that we're looking at, come the end.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Again, we're going to take a short commercial break, folks. And when we come back, we will start talking about this amazing best of 3 we got coming up. And again, this could be a best of 1 at any other tournament. So we're, like you said, we're seeing a nice...
You get a free potential
final
here.
or semifinal.
We're
Again,
spoiled.
grudge match from Poland. So a lot to talk about when we come back. We'll have maps, we'll have the bands, all that good stuff. Back in about 3 minutes, folks.